Welcome to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater. Before we jump into today's episode, I have some exciting news for all of the parents out there who really find it challenging to make sure that your kids are actually getting all of the nutrients they need from the very limited diet that they currently have. Well, I'm thrilled to announce that I've developed a new program specifically tailored to parents of picky eaters, ARFID eaters, pediatric feeding disorders, any parents who really just want to get more nutrients into their kiddos. Unlike traditional approaches that focus on introducing new and different foods, right, which take time and patience, and of course, it's something that we do. But this program specifically focuses on maximizing the nutritional value of the foods your child is already eating, right? So this is going to decrease some battles, decreases your stress level because you're not going to feel like, oh, they have to eat it because otherwise they haven't eaten anything good today. And it allows your kids to actually focus on learning and enjoying food that they're learning about without the pressure. So we understand every day and every meal counts when it comes to your child's health. That's why we're dedicated to helping you make the most of the foods that they're currently eating, ensuring that they receive vital vitamins, minerals, and nutrients without delay. So I am hosting a free parent webinar premiering on Saturday, June 1st, 2024. During this webinar, you're going to gain valuable insights and practical strategies to transform your mealtime struggles, and it'll introduce you to our new program. Plus, attendees who stay on until the end will receive a free gift as a token of my appreciation for you joining us. So don't let another day go by without taking action to support your child's nutritional needs, right? It affects their behavior, their sleep, how they learn, their moods. It's so super important. So register now by clicking the link below or finding details in the show notes. So let's make every meal count together.
Are meal times a serious struggle? Does your child eat a limited number of foods? Does your child eliminate entire food groups? Are you tired of waiting for them to just grow out of it? Welcome to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater, where you'll learn strategies to help your picky eater expand their palate. With Christine Marati-Yoder, a pediatric feeding specialist, speech pathologist, mom of a child with feeding issues, and author of Mealtime Mindset. Let's get started. Here's Christine.
All right, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to chat with you guys today. So our topic today is what's missing from your child's current diet, right? So I'm sure you have heard how important it is to have a balanced diet, right? But what does that really mean? And how does that apply to our kids who only eat like 3 foods? Like, how are we getting balance there, right? So just to put it very simply, for nutrients and vitamins, we're going to kind of talk about like some basics about food, right? So if you think about a house, right? We're building a house. So proteins are sort of like the bricks, and vitamins and minerals are sort of like the tools that you need to have that. So there's basically 2 different types or 2 parts to the food, right? There's macronutrients, which is our like powerhouses, like the really important pieces, protein, carbs, and fats, right? And then there's micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals. And, of course, there's more complexity there. And the course that I just created actually goes into that in a very easy to understand way and very basic way. But what you need to know, right, at least for the purposes of this episode, right, for what's missing is we have to know what's supposed to be in there to know what's missing, right? So macronutrients, the powerhouse, the carbs, proteins, and fats, right? So I want you to think of this as like the main actors in a movie, right? They have the most screen time. They're essential to the plot of a story. They play big, visible roles, and they're critical to the structure of the whole film, right? So that's macronutrients. Those are the proteins, carbs, and fat, right? They provide you energy. They build and repair tissues. They make your body do the basic functions that it has to do. Now, micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals, this is like the crew, right? The behind the scenes people, the directors, the sound engineers, the lighting technicians, right? You don't see them on screen, but without them, you can't have a movie, right? So they manage all of the small but critical details that ensure that the movie runs smoothly, right? So similarly, micronutrients don't provide energy, but they help regulate processes like digestion, energy production, and bone formation. They're essential for good health and proper functioning of the body, right? So a lot of parents don't even know what their kids are missing. They just know that like they can't possibly be getting everything they need with the 3 to 5 foods that they're currently eating, right? So if this is you, make sure you sign up for my course or at least for the free webinar, right? But in the course, you get a report of all of the vitamins and minerals from your child's diet and what exactly you can do to get them into the current foods that they're currently eating, even if they're very limited, right? So that's what this course is about, getting those nutrients into a very limited diet in a way that is not stressful for you or for your child, right? So it's not just general advice, it's tailored specifically to your child, right? So I'm going to chat about some of the common nutrients that we see our picky eaters missing, because a lot of our picky eaters have very similar types of foods that they eliminate from their diet, right? And if you've heard me talk before, you might even know what these are, right? But today I'm going to focus on 3 main ones. Of course, there are more than this, but for the purposes of a quick podcast episode, we're going to talk about these top 3. So number 1 is iron, right? So even if you know nothing about nutrients, right? Iron is just, it's essential for energy, brain function, and growth, right? It has a lot to do with making blood cells and carrying oxygen to the body. But just know it's super important, right? And that's really the basics, is it's super important. So it's usually found in meats, especially red meats, beans, fortified cereals, and leafy green vegetables, right? A lot of our picky eaters, like they might have some cereals, but for the most part, the vegetables, the beans, the meats, they're probably missing from their diet, right? So that means that they're actually missing a lot of iron, right? All right. And I'm going to talk a little bit later about how that presents in terms of like your child's, behavior and mood and all of that. All right. So our next nutrient commonly missing is calcium, right? It is well known. I'm sure you've seen ads that, milk builds strong bones, right? So you might associate calcium in milk or calcium in bones, right? But it is known for building strong bones and teeth, right? Which, as you might imagine, your child who is growing and developing need, calcium to build their bones, right? Right. So it also helps in other things as well, like muscle function, nerve signals, and heart health. But while it's common to hear that milk is where you get calcium, shouldn't be the primary source. It's actually not true. Milk can actually deplete your bones of calcium because calcium in milk isn't absorbed as well as it is from other from other foods, right? And with milk, there's an acidity to milk, and you might not associate milk and acidity, but to your body, when milk goes into your body, it increases the acidity. And to neutralize that, right, our body is always trying to get back to our sort of neutral baseline. And what happens is it actually has to pull calcium from somewhere, and calcium is stored in our bones. So it actually pulls calcium from our bones, right? So it's great to get calcium from other sources as well. So it's all about calcium, how it's absorbed. So if now that you know this, you might understand why countries with the lowest dairy consumption have the lowest fracture incidence, right? So in America, osteoporosis and the breaking bones is very common, but we also have the highest consumption of dairy. So there is that correlation for sure. And this has been proven by science, of course, But the point I want to drive home is that there's other sources of where you can get calcium. So there's fortified plant-based milks like almond, soy, or oat milk, leafy greens like kale and broccoli, and fish like sardines and canned salmon. So getting calcium from these sources can also give you other nutrients as well. But the main thing I want you to take home is that if you only get it from milk, you're not getting all of the calcium that your body needs, right? So that you have to sort of make it up someplace, whether it's in a supplement or different foods. But it could, because it's just so commonly ingrained from propaganda and, commercials and, that milk builds strong bones, calcium builds strong bones. So you might falsely be believing that, okay, well, my kid drinks milk, so they're getting the calcium. We don't have to worry about that one. But that might not necessarily be true, right? So that's sort of, I just want to bring your attention to it type of a thing. And the last one is fiber, right? So this is really important for digestive health and keeping everything moving, right? So kids that don't have enough fiber and adults that don't have enough fiber often can be constipated, right? Which a lot of our picky eaters are, because they don't have, foods that fiber is found in, like vegetables, whole grains, legumes, fruits. So if your kids are lacking that, they're probably also lacking a lot of fiber, right? Fiber also does other things, like it regulates their blood sugar levels, helps with healthy weight. It also keeps kids feeling fuller for longer, right? So kids that don't have a diet rich in fiber are probably burning through those foods that they're eating, and they're getting hungry again really fast, right? So when you don't have these things, you're going to notice that your kids act and behave and, respond to their environments differently than if they did have these nutrients, right? So especially with iron deficiency, super common is fatigue and weakness, right? You also might notice things like pale skin and gums, shortness of breath. So they just they might not be able to sort of keep up without having to catch their breath, like with physical activities like running. Cold hands and cold feet, because that poor blood circulation, and headaches and dizziness, right? So actually the other day, as a woman who gets, regular menstrual cycles, I had picked my head up and I realized I was like, oh, I'm like late, like almost like dizzy, not to the point of passing out, but noticed it. And I was like, oh, I am missing iron. I haven't taken my vitamins in like 2 days, and I just lost a lot of blood, and I haven't replenished it. I haven't eaten any foods that have iron in them. I was like, I need iron. So I took my supplement and, went away. Right. So, I'm not perfect either, I guess is the point I'm making. But you might not necessarily associate some of those things immediately with vitamin deficiency. But again, the more you know, right? I'm just trying to bring your attention to it. Okay, so calcium deficiency, this is, I'd say it's easier to notice almost after the fact, like if your child is falls and they fracture or break something, but, there are some other things as well. Besides the bones, right? You can get things like muscle cramps or spasms as well with calcium deficiency. Dry skin, that's one I often get, and brittle nails. So, look at your kids' skin and nails and notice, if there's some changes there. Dental problems, of course, dental decay can be a sign of insufficient calcium. A lot of our picky eaters do also have some dental, decay as well, for various reasons, not just calcium, but that is one of the things we see. And numbness or tingling. around the fingers and mouth can be a symptom of low calcium levels as well. I'd say the most common ones to see are the dry skin and brittle nails, to be honest, because unless your child is breaking something or you just know that your child doesn't have calcium, they're not going to see anything quite as overt as you might with the iron deficiency, right? Okay, and last, fiber deficiency. Constipation. That is the most common symptom of fiber deficiency because fiber really helps get things moving. So without fiber, stools can become really hard, difficult to pass. So a lot of times I hear with their kids that they're withholding their poop. And I am really on the fence. And I've met a lot of kids that did this and they've gone through protocols and they get suppositories and all of these things. And I'm really on the fence because I'm like, if you really look at your diet, I'm bet there is some missing pieces there. And it might not be quite as much withholding and afraid to poop as it is can't. And giving constant suppositories has negative effects, long-term effects, right? So whenever possible, and don't even get me started on Miralax, right? A few episodes back, we talked about Miralax and the consequences and effects of using Miralax. So if this is your kid, definitely check out the tummy troubles episode where we talk about that. But so we really want to try to naturally just get things moving with proper diet and nutrition, right? Now, when you lack fiber, it can also actually make you feel less full after meals, which might cause you to overeat and gain weight. It also helps regulate cholesterol levels. So you could have increased cholesterol when you don't have enough fiber, and your blood sugar might fluctuate, right? But like I said, the quickest, easiest things to see or effects are going to be like that constipation, right? And you might notice a lot of hunger happening, right? So I hope that this was a good sort of overview of things your kids might be missing, what to look for. And, I'm really excited about this program for so many reasons, but I know how life-changing that when you give your body the right nutrients can really be. So I'm so excited for parents to learn all of the strategies that I've accumulated throughout the years and what we use with some of our current clients and getting these nutrients into your kids, because I know from personal experience how life-changing getting the right nutrients into your body, getting the right fuel for your body can be. So if you haven't already subscribed and joined, make sure you register for this free webinar. At the very least, you'll walk away with a freebie that you'll get if you stay till the end of the webinar, and you'll get some strategies, you'll get some more information. And so even if you don't want to take the course, at least you get like a little foundation to kind of get you started. So please register. It's free. There's no obligation for anything. So you have nothing to lose except time, right? So every day that goes by that our kids aren't getting nutrients is a day that their body is missing something that it needs. So please, if this is your kids, please don't delay in getting the right nutrition into your kids. And I will see you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater. To learn more about achieving your child's feeding goals, check out Christine's website at foodologyfeeding.com. And be sure to tune in next time to How to Unpicky Your Picky Eater.